Joined by Africa analyst and founder of the African Renaissance Project, Edward Mitole. Edward, good evening and thank you so much for joining us on The Globe. A lot of excitement we've seen today taking place in South Africa from the Congolese people, with Felix Tshisekedi being announced as president-elect, or the one to have won the DRC elections that took place on the 30th of December. What's your take? You've had a lot to say over a long period of time. Today it has happened. Election results have been announced.
Thank you, Lulu. Good evening to you. Good evening to Africa. My people perish due to lack of wisdom. It's a tragedy that I see the African people, my people, the people of the DRC celebrating and rejoicing. It's because of lack of knowledge. What has happened today is a managed transition. And as with any managed transition, the outgoing Kabila will still call the shots from behind the scenes. Felix Tshisekedi, the son of the former veteran opposition politician Etienne Tshisekedi, has always been there in the shadows of his father. The opposition, the real opposition in the DRC, is in exile. Capital creates its own opposition. Global capital creates its own opposition. If you look at all the opposition parties in the world, they have been carefully selected by capital to play the game. The ruling party and those in the opposition are all playing a game, and they have been carefully selected over the years by global capital. The DR Congo is a magnificent cake. As King Leopold II of Belgium said during the Berlin conference that decided the partitioning of Africa, the division of Africa, to share the cake, he said, DR Congo is a magnificent cake and will always be for the very long time. You must remember that the Western world depends on African minerals for their sustenance. Without African mineral resources, the Western world would cease to be global power. The DR Congo has suffered for a long time, beginning from King Leopold II, to Patrice Lumumba, to Desiree Mobutu, to Laurent Kabila. It has gone through untold suffering and pain. When I see my people in DRC celebrating, I feel very sad. I've been broken today with the result. Tears have been streaming from my face since morning when I first heard of the result from the Independent Electoral Commission, which is not so independent. Because you must understand that all the electoral commissions in the world are remote controlled from Brussels, from Geneva, from Paris, from Washington. There is nothing that is independent in the world. Everything has got its owner, including electoral commissions. When they went to Geneva, when the opposition went to Geneva to sign that agreement, it was clear that global capital will dictate the terms. It is a game to fool the people. The opposition candidates were Jean-Pierre Bemba, Moise Katumbi, Felix Tshisekedi, and Martin Fayulu. These two other candidates, Jean-Pierre Bemba and Moise Katumbi, were banned from contesting. As I've said, the real opposition is in exile, in prison, or silenced. They suffer media blackout. The opposition that participates in this political game is carefully selected from Washington, from Paris, from Geneva, and from Brussels. So you must not be deceived when you see people celebrating. They are only celebrating because they are wallowing in ignorance. There are three critical moments in the biography of the vertiginous assemblage that is blackness and race. The first moment arrived with the organized despoliation of the Atlantic slave trade from the 15th through the 19th century, through which men and women from Africa were transformed into human objects, human commodities, and human money. They came to belong to others who hated them. They were deprived of their languages and their names. They were shipped, transplanted, trafficked across the Atlantic. That moment led to the second moment, which coincided with the birth of writing towards the end of the 18th century.
Let me come in there, Eddie. With regards to what the DRC and the people of the Congo are celebrating in South Africa currently and all over the world, what you've just said is very loaded. And the people of the Congo have made a decision or have a president-elect whom it is Tshisekedi. This is what they're faced with now. This is the present moment. Transition of power without any violence, which is better? For the people of the Congo to rebuild their country and have a living president a new president take over from a living president.
Tshisekedi has been awarded 38.7% of the vote. Where is it coming from? Because all throughout the opinion polls, since October 2016, he was trailing. He was number 4 or number 3. The leading contender was always Moise Katumbi. The second position, sometimes it was Etienne Tshisekedi before he passed on. But Felix was always trailing. In the second poll in 2017 in May, he came number 4 with 5%. The third poll in 2018, he came last.